came across this message, and I've been giving some updates on what is going on between Iran and Israel, with the situation escalating, even at the point where we need calm heads. There's a lot of rhetoric online. There's a lot of people fanning the embers of conflict and insisting that this must go on. Israel have air superiority, but the Iranians are also dealing a significant blow to Israel on so many fronts. So I'm going to show you this image of this guy from Nigeria. As you can see, this guy came in my inbox and told me, let me show you in a second. So his name is Obona James, I think. So let's look at what James said. He said, the curse of the Lord God Jehovah is on you already for cursing the blessed Israel. Long live Israel, long live lovers of peace. Well, this has been going on for a very long time, by the way. After Israel started attacking Gaza after October 7th, at the point they took about 10 to 15,000 casualties. There's a big pastor in Nigeria called Pastor E.A. Adeboye. He came out and told Nigerians to line up and go out and do like fellowship or whatever. They do crusade. Maybe he didn't put it that way, but he said we should go out and pray for Israel, the children of God, that this is a trying time for them, that this has been ordained by God, this is by divine ordinance. People should be able to separate religion, which I believe, from faith. I'm the last person that will talk bad about anybody's religion, let alone my own. But some of these pastors, clearly, I listen to some of them, and they don't know what they're talking about, particularly in Nigeria. And they're educating young people that clearly some of them do not know about this. And some of them are even octogenarians, some in their 70s and 50s and 60s, that this is all they've ever known. They don't understand the science behind this politics. There's a science behind this politics. So people are making all these statements. And this is why this guy from Nigeria thinks that I'm wrong, that I've been cursed by God already, that I'll perish in hell. I mean, I've seen a lot of this comment, but I've decided to specifically pick out this comment for you guys to see. There's a lot of this going on, particularly in my beloved country, Nigeria, and I will explain why this is happening. There is primordial tension between the largely Christian South and the largely Muslim North, and if you want to trickle it down to ethnicity as well, the largely in the North you have the Fulanis and the Hausas and these other tribes that people believe are somewhat close to the Arabized people in the Sahel. And because they have this cultural difference, most of them are nomadic people. And those of us in the South, or some of the people that are living in the North, living in these small communities with them, are also sedentary farmers. But if you come to places like Benue State, places and the Southeast and the Southwest and the South, these are largely sedentary people that now have white collar job, but a lot of them, their primary occupation, going back in history, have been farming and fishing and hunting. But the Fulanis are different. The Fulanis are nomadic people, they move from place to place. And if you look at the map of Nigeria, you see that the River Niger comes from Cameroon, River Benue comes from Cameroon, the River Niger flows from Niger. So in some cases, some of these nomadic people move along the banks of the River Niger and along the banks of the River Benue for greener pastures, particularly during dry season. They are transhumans. They are constantly moving for greener pastures, seeking greener pastures. And because of that, they get in trouble with the local sedentary African farmers that do not have that kind of occupation, that their own occupation is farming. So the Fulanis take the cow to the farm of these sedentary African farmers and eat their crops, and the two communities fight each other. So because of the perception of the local sedentary African people towards the Fulanis that they see as Arabized, then they see whatever is going in the Middle East through the same lens, and they say, well, we are also dealing with our own kind of Arabs here. And you need to understand as well that the situation in Libya, the way that they are selling Africans, black West Africans in open markets, in slave markets in Libya, have not also helped the situation. So there's a need for sensitization and education. Even the most educated of people from some of our communities do not see what is going on in the Middle East. And some of them are actually following this blindly because they believe religion asks us to do so. What is happening, you need to understand, you need to see the science to it. And I'll draw your attention to one key area that you need to understand. This is all you need to do. Go and look at the work of Hans Morgenthau. He's one of the realist theorists, and he talked about some of the key elements of realism. He talked about states as the primary actor. So, in terms of international relations, states takes the primacy. They are at the center, meaning that they are the main actors in international politics. That is number one. Secondly, they are rational actors, meaning they act in self-interest. What does that mean? It means that they're acting and they define their goals and define their national interest and act towards achieving it. He also went further to describe the international system as anarchic, meaning that it is a jungle. Think about the international arena as a big jungle. Think about the international arena as a big jungle where everybody's fighting to survive. So this goes against the theory um, of institutionalism and the other theories that have to do with collectivism. The idea of even they call it the idea of even having things like the United Nations. According to the realists, these international institutions are slow, they are weak, they are non-functional, they cannot do anything. And this is the most important and dominant theory in international relations. So this is why I keep drawing your attention to realism. And I'll put it up in a second so that you guys can understand. Now, what Israel is doing, Israel is also defining it from the perspective of state interest. They see themselves as rational actors. They see the Middle East as anarchic and in late terms as a jungle. So everybody's fighting to survive. So whatever Israel defines as their interest, this is what they are working towards. This has nothing to do with the historical record of 16,000 years ago and the fulfillment of the prophecy. Countries have always fought each other. Nations have always gone against each other because of what they define as interest. In this case, Israelis are saying to Iran that since you don't like us and you are trying to develop not just a nuclear program, it is also about their ballistic missile system. It's also about their investment in drone technology, which would pose a serious threat to Israel. The way it is going down, the Israelis believe if they don't weaken Iran now, in the next 5-10 years, Iran will be very difficult for them. And Israel continues to see itself as a major player in the Middle East because they have the support of the United States of America. They snitch, they go and tell them, oh, let us do this, let us do that. And they initiated this war of aggression against Iran. It is simple and short. You can see that Israel fired the first shot. And I'm still getting curses and abuses online and say, oh, this is a defensive war. And this is why I will never believe whatever the Israelis say today. Because if you go back in time, the argument they are making is that every single war that they have fought have been defensive. Well, this is my lifetime, and I see clearly that Israel fired the first shot because they believe the Iranians don't have a right towards advancement and acquiring technology and so on and so forth. We do not even know what is going on right now. This is escalating, and I'm going to, if I can, I would have showed you guys the map. The corridor between Iran and Afghanistan in the Baloch area, the corridor between Iran and Pakistan in the Baloch area, it is getting tensed up. We might go back to war between India and Pakistan as a result of what this small country called Israel have done to protect the Jews. Therefore, we must plunge the whole world into another world war. Sometimes when, again, you can talk about the institutions and the state till the cows come home, it is also important to look at the individuals that occupy these institutions, that are leaders of these countries, that have not tempered their behavior with maturity, that have not been able to understand the science of politics, that have not been able to understand statecraft and how to manage conflict. This is why they get the job in the first place, to manage situations. Not to look weak, but to manage a situation. But when you go and attack Iran, a country of 100 million people or thereabout, and start a major conflict in the region, the gloves are off. So when I see comments like this and somebody is telling me the curse of the Lord God Jehovah is already on you for cursing the blessed Israel and saying, "Long live Israel" to me, I see this all the time. It is because you do not know. This is ignorance, and ignorance, I don't know, man, it's crazy. Oh, look, the situation in the Middle East right now is tenuous, it is volatile. Israel have attacked Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Iraq. Um, Now they're attacking Iran. At the end of the day, it is not getting any better. And you can argue that about the Samson option all you want. If it's Israel decide to use nuclear weapon on anybody, other countries will step in and wipe Israel out of the map. Israel is not going to use nuclear weapon against anybody and go free. I will tell you right now, if they use it, that means the Russians can use it in Ukraine. And by the way, what these guys are creating for America is more problems. Israel is creating more problems for America at the point in time that America is struggling economically, that Trump started a trade war with China, at the point in time when the United States of America is on the back foot, and Trump is hurriedly trying to make peace with the Chinese to appease them in order to douse the situation, to calm down the tension, so that they can do a deal with the Chinese and hold the Chinese off until they are ready to fight the Chinese. So they want to slow down the economic prosperity of China, but by doing that, it has to happen with decoupling, disentanglement. It has to happen with decoupling and disentanglement, meaning that most of the industries, American industries and European industries that have decided to move to China because of the efficiency of the Chinese machine and of the Chinese system and the flexibility and the ease of doing business in China will have to go out of business. America have to hit the reset button, and America have no industries. We're not talking about America building any real industries at this point. They don't have anything. So it will take them, they have all this money, but they are not efficient. So if America start building iPhones in the United States and move the base there, most of us using the iPhone 15 can no longer buy it because it will jump up 5 or 10 times the price. And this is the system of America. Capitalism, chronic capitalism. And the system itself, which is the liberal capitalist democratic model, promotes this chronic capitalism in the United States of America. Corruption is endemic, red tapeism, bureaucracy, slowing down decision making. Professor Graham Allison, who coined the theory of what he called the Thucydides trap, talked about the inevitability of war between America and China, but the fear is that America is not ready. America is not ready. The Chinese have an already existing industrial base that they can convert all to military production sites in 5 minutes. So Professor Graham Allison talked about the Thucydides trap, and I'll speak about it in a second before I continue the conversation. He said that, and this quote, or this he coined from the Thucydides, who is the first historian and wrote a history of the Peloponnesian War. For those of you that know about the Peloponnesian War, this is the war between Sparta and Athens, which is in modern day Greece. And Professor Graham Allison went further to talk about the fact that if you look back in history, when a rising kingdom or empire set to displace an existing kingdom and to displace an existing order, war is almost inevitable. And you can go back in history. The same thing between Sparta and Athens, which were city-states at that time. The same thing happened between, even if you want to look at the Ottoman, the Abbasid, the Umayyad, at a certain point, if another empire is rising to displace an existing one, they always go to war. Look at the history, look at the Crusades, look at the 40 years war in Europe, and go back to the Bolshevik Revolution, which removed the monarch, by the way. But the most important aspect of it as well is World War I and the decline of powers in Europe and the emergence of the United States of America, particularly the decline of the Ottoman Empire. And the Europeans attacked the Ottoman Empire, defeated the Ottoman Empire, balkanized the Ottoman Empire. So if a rising empire is set to displace the status quo and an existing one, war is almost inevitable. And this is why Professor Graham Allison coined the term the Thucydides trap. But to trickle it down, he gave, because he is a professor emeritus at I think Harvard, and he was talking about the fact that there's a bridge that was being built in Massachusetts, because Harvard is in Boston, Massachusetts. And that bridge, he said it took about 2.5 years to construct. And a similar bridge in China, he asked the audience whether they knew how long it took. Less than a week it took the Chinese to build a similar bridge at 5 times or 10 times less the price. The one in America went overboard, then a lot of delays. So because of this, America is not ready. The Chinese are very efficient, and I've seen it firsthand. They have construction companies in Africa. I can compare some of their companies, very efficient with price, and they are very good and reliable. We have German companies as well that are trying, but now they are competing because the Chinese are now in Africa. So the Europeans have no other option than to bring down their price, than to bring down their ego, and they have to compete, else they will be booted out of the system. If you give the Chinese the similar road project of 32 kilometers, and give the Germans exactly the same thing, the Chinese will do it for half the price, deliver on time with the same quality. And the Germans will overprice it and use all sorts of politics to try to get the contract. The Chinese do their bidding and try and hope to get the contract based on what they've done. The Europeans corrupt our system to get contracts. I move around and I see like Julius Baja have 5, 10 contracts all over Nigeria, all over the FCT, for instance, and they don't even have machines in place. Why? Because they are able to do the politics. And this is what the West is doing. The West does the politics, but they are losing, and this is why they are competing in terms of AI and moving towards AGI. So it's not everything that has to do with religion, my brothers and sisters from Africa. Particularly this particular group of people from Nigeria, from the southern part of Nigeria, that thinks that whatever Pastor E.A. Adeboye tells them is the gospel from God. These pastors can do no wrong. The Israelis cannot do any wrong. And this is the fulfillment of the prophecy, and so on and so forth. Exactly the same thing the evangelicals in America are doing and launching war in the name of religion. And it's not just the Christians. The Muslims are also doing it in some places around the world. And making this kind of argument, I as a Christian, I'm not supporting Palestine because I'm a Muslim. Far from that, is because I see the politics of it. I see what is going on. And I've decided to say, hang on a second, this is the same excuse and the same argument that the Europeans made when they came to Africa. They said we were backward, barbaric. They called us animals. They put us in chains. They said we were back in the dark ages and they were civilized. Because of that, they have to bomb us, beat us, and took us to church on Sunday to pray for us. And you can look, you see most of these things in Badagry, in Accra, Ghana, in some places where they maltreated us and denigrated us as human beings. It's exactly the same thing they are saying. Israel is saying explicitly that they will not allow Iran to own nuclear weapons because they don't trust the Islamists that are, camel headers and back in the dark ages, that they are not civilized enough to be trusted to have the nukes. This is what they're saying. And this is exactly what they said in Africa. And this is why this is not me raging in this, because I understand. I understand politics. I don't do debates. I do well in this zone. When I want to talk about issues, let's talk about the issues on the ground. Most of you have not seen the map of Iran. A lot of the guys coming in my comment section and saying, oh, why are you a slave to the Arabs? Why are you supporting the Arabs? See what the Arabs are doing to your people in the United Arab Emirates, in Saudi Arabia. And somebody gave me a list, data from last year, 2024. Black women being beaten up by their madams in Saudi Arabia. They're working enslaved using the kafala system, which is still existing, by the way. They are maltreating us in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in Oman. And I continue to speak about it. But when I say I support Palestine, It is because of my interest as an African, and it's because I'm seeing a bigger picture. The Israelis will do to us, the Americans will do to us what they are doing to these people. They are just weaponizing religion as a tool to be able to drive home their policies. This is exactly what America does. And I will give you more. It's not just the United States. I see it firsthand in the Sahel of Africa. They're doing it in Africa. Okay, let's go to the Sahel of Africa. Let's go to the Sahara of Africa. And most of you live in Africa. You're complaining about Boko Haram. You're complaining about Mujao and Jenin and Al-Moghabitun, Islamic State in the Greater Sahara. I want you guys right now to look for the name Mokhtar Belmokhtar. Who is Mokhtar Belmokhtar? Mokhtar Belmokhtar is a client of the French and the Americans that they trained in Africa and took to Afghanistan to fight with the Mujahideen that came back to Africa, and they continued using him against the Algerian government and against the governments in the Sahel and in the Sahara of Africa. Other groups like the Movement for Justice and Oneness called Jenin, Mujao. Look, I know most of these groups. Some of you that are blindly talking about, oh, look, there's no need for me to cry because I know a lot about these groups. I've moved around the Sahel. I know what is going on in Africa. And this is why I don't engage in this kind of debate. So when somebody come up and say, the curse of the Lord Jehovah is on you already for cursing the blessed Israel, he's seeing it from a completely different lens. And this is why these people still have this idea about us. Believe in your faith, no problem. But this has nothing to do with religion. This is Israel basing their argument on realism, basing their argument on state power and interest, and doing what they are doing. If I was an Israeli, if I was serving in the IDF, I would probably think exactly the same thing. But religion is also important in the conversation because it's being used to mobilize support. Religion is being used, indoctrinated in us, and used as a mobilizing agent. It's used as a recruiting sergeant. The best way to tell a J person to go to war, a young guy from Ethiopia, for instance, from the Beta community, how do you tell him to go to war? You think that the Muslims are coming to destroy him. You tell him that the Muslims are coming with jihad to remove him, and so you can wind him up and tell him that if he doesn't fight now, he will be taken out, not because those guys are looking for their own interest and looking to survive. They will tell him they will do this in the name of jihad and in the name of religion. This is what they say. They use it as a recruiting sergeant. I've been to Kar myself, Central African Republic. During the height of the war in Bangui, which is the capital, between the Seleka and the Anti-Balaka, the source of mobilization was religion. The Seleka on one hand later brought Michel Djotodia to power. After her, I think it was Catherine Samba-Panza that came to power. And after Catherine Samba-Panza, Faustin Archange came to power and said enough. And they brought in Wagner. So it doesn't matter on what side you belong. They are doing exactly the same thing to us. And I'm encouraging the young people in Africa to wake up and open their eyes. So if you kind because you're a Muslim, you're also wrong. No, it's not about supporting them alone because you're a Muslim. I'm not even going to say you're wrong. Do it, but do not make it seem that you're only supporting them because you are a Muslim and that is the motivation. Because the other side is going to say, hang on a second, so is this a religious war? Well, the Palestinians in question that are being attacked, the Christians among them are being targeted. The Muslims among them are being targeted. The non-believers among them are being targeted. We need to wake up. This message is for Africa. This message is for the young people in Nigeria, in West Africa, in places like Ghana and Sierra Leone and Liberia, English-speaking West Africa. And for those of you in Francophone countries and understand English, this is a message for you. Wake up. The West does not want us. They want us to remain subservient to them, and they are using Israel as a forward operating base. Most of you have seen the situation going on in Rwanda, that Rwanda is doing to Congo. Who is providing Rwanda with most of the arms that they are using against Congo? It is Israel and the United States of America using proxies in the region like Uganda and Kenya and South Sudan. and they are telling them this is and by the way, Congo is 95 or 94% Christian, but these are the same people that are acting on the ground there, and they are not mentioning religion. When Rwanda is attacking Congo, it's defined by interest. It's about interest. This is about interest. But when the Israelis went to South Sudan and supported the Anyanya rebellion and went on to support the SPLM and the SPLA, they made a religious argument to use that as the recruiting sergeant to tell the African South that are largely Christian and animist, that the Muslim North want to destroy them, weaponizing religion as a tool of mobilization. The Israelis, the decision makers in Israel, when they look at the paper, they are not saying we are going to fight Iran because of jihad. Well, this is what they tell this gullible, the subservient populace and the citizens of their country that are largely not educated, largely gullible, and this is what Friedrich Nietzsche described as the herd. The leaders describe their own interests and wage a war and tell their own populace another story. So this is the herd mentality. They are the herd. They are like the cattle. The populace are like the cattle. Anywhere you move them to, they go, because they don't have the same organization. They don't have the same level of intellect. They don't have the same level of understanding. They don't have the same level of experience and acumen as the elites. Netanyahu and his people are the elites of Israel. They are the ones that sit down and define their interest, whether it's national interest or self-preservation or even domestic politics that is superimposing itself on the realities on the ground. And this is why they're making the decision. Well, what is Israel saying? Israel is saying to Iran, you can't have the nukes because we don't trust you. You have said openly that you want to destroy us. Then if they want to be flamboyant and they go to the Knesset and they want to rally around public support against Iran for their cause, because the only thing that can destroy any nation is its own people. So in order to rally them behind the call for war, they tell them that the Arabs and the Muslims are coming to destroy you. Wake up. This is what they tell you. They say in Israel, the Arabs and the Muslims are coming, and because you are gullible, soft, slow, and you don't have the same level of intellect and acumen as them, you engage in this war and they recruit you. And young people are also dying there because they are fighting for a cause that the leaders have told them need to be fought for. I'm not even saying that this is completely, the narrative sometimes is completely wrong, because I've also seen on the other side, some people are saying, oh, this is a religious war. Not just on the Israeli side, also on the Iranian side and on the Palestinian side, I've seen some people that claim to represent their communities saying all of that is dangerous. This is the analytical mind of Saab. I'm telling you the way I see it from a scientific view. We need to be very careful. So when somebody come up with this kind of statement and say that I'm going to be cursed, that I'm cursed by God already, and that God is going to send me to hellfire because I'm supporting the Arabs, because I'm supporting the Muslims, because I'm going against Israel, the children of God, and saying that these have been ordained by God, that God have somehow, in his infinite mercy, by the way, look, look, it's funny because how do we live in 2025? Young people educated, some of them have gone to universities, they have a degree, they have masters, they have some kind of diploma, but education, university, going to the four wall of the institution does not give you the understanding. It doesn't broaden your mind and your perception, because again, most of our education comes from our homes and it comes from the church and the mosque. So when you base your argument and say, and by the way, if Iran as well is mobilizing, and even sometimes we hear it like the Islamic Jihad, they say Ansarullah. Some of the, if they are mobilizing, they also use religion as a means of mobilization for support, as a tool of mobilization. But for me, I see this differently, because the argument that Israel is making, you can argue that, well, they continue to see the international system as a jungle, as anarchic. Therefore, they are going to act in self-interest. So I'm going to show you guys, what Hans Morgenthau And because there are two types of realism. There's classical realism and there's neoclassical realism. Okay, and in the neoclassical realism, there's offensive realism and defensive realism. So Steve Waltz, Hans Morgenthau, these are the guys in the neoclassical realism. In classical realism, you have people like Thucydides that said in the struggle, among equals, the strong will do what they want, and that the weak will suffer what they must. And you also have people like Niccolo Machiavelli, who espoused in his work, which is his magnus opus, called The Prince, and talked about that the prince must use whatever means to achieve the end justifies the means, that whatever you do is not important. What you achieve at the end of the day is the most important thing. So we can talk about realism, we can talk about neoclassical realism, we can look at the argument that the Israelis are making. Not the Israelis, because the Israeli populace are largely subservient, they are largely docile, they are not as organized as the elite. And that happens across all societies around the world. It's not just Israel. Of course, you have a lot of smart people in Israel, but the elites think differently. If you want to understand the elites are a minority, but the organized minority, the populace are the unorganized majority. And wherever there's no organization, chaos is bound. And this is why they are very susceptible to argumentum ad populum. The populace follow the crowd. You can, on social media, you can see it as well. People don't care about logic. They don't care about, the facts. They don't care about truth. They are not interested in following logic to be able to decipher truth. They are interested in emotions. They are interested in what their friends say. They are interested in the mob, the crowd mentality. They go to this panel and say, "Oh, this guy have a lot of people, therefore he's right, and therefore the other guy is wrong." Or somebody comes up and spew a narrative about you, and the person has a very loud mouth, and is very smart, very intelligent, and has the charisma. People will believe that person. They are not interested. People are lazy. And this is what happens to the majority. And this is why the elites make it to the very top, and the masses are only interested in their stomach. This is what the masses wake up and think of. More money. How can I get more food? The elites are not thinking about the money they can make, but eventually they'll become rich and powerful. But they are more interested in acquisition of power. They are more interested in building new stuff, new things. They are more interested in how to use the power they have to authoritatively allocate values. Okay? The use of power that they have to authoritatively allocate values. This is what these guys are about. So if you look at the Israelis, they are also making exactly the same case of the international system being anarchic and being some sort of a jungle, and therefore, because the state is the primary actor, the state will have to do whatever it needs to do to defend what it describes as interest. And anytime there's clash of interest, war and conflict is almost inevitable. This is not yeah, you guys are not hearing what you want to hear today. The drama. Hey, you're stupid. No. This is different. This one is different. You have to get to get to a different wavelength for us to be in sync. And by the way, this is the reality. This is why it's happening. So every other thing is the noise. Every other thing is the noise. The Israelis have defined their interest. The Iranians as well have defined their interest. And there is a clash of interest. And when there's clash of interest, conflict is almost inevitable. You have one meat, and two people are trying to take it all. The only thing they can do is a compromise and divide it down the middle. Well, in most cases, it is a zero-sum game. And politics, in all cases, is a zero-sum game. It's winner takes all. This is what it's about, and this is the sad truth about politics. This is why it's like the game of Russian roulette. It is a zero-sum game. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean. Thank you so much, Lady Bird. These are some of the things. Sometimes when I have the energy and I'm happy, I can talk about this stuff. Apart from that, I just host the stream, let people come up and have some dog fights. Because sometimes people need to vent out their emotions. But again, there is science behind most of this. And the reason I decided to do this today Thank you, Believe. The reason I decided to do this today is, look, it's it's because of this guy. He said he said um the curse of the Lord God Jehovah is already on you for whatever. I think he's saying that I went against Israel and that I'm going to be cursed in an eternal hellfire or something like that. Oh, man. So let's look at realism. And by the way I do is I introspect. I do, like people do um, not self-deprecation. What is the right English word? It's called. How many of you are familiar with the Shia culture, particularly those of them in Iran, where they whip themselves when they are going for like Ashura? They do Ashura. There's a word for it. It's an English word which also means what I'm trying to explain. Um, so sometimes I'm always introspecting, questioning myself, questioning my being and existence and whatever I do. And I look at my own self and call myself out. This is what I do every time. It cannot be I'm right, you're wrong. This is where people get it wrong, especially when I want to think logically, I remove my emotion and remove my interest from it. Right? As a Christian, a Catholic, a Nigerian from the South, I can easily say, well, make the same argument. It's easy. Make the same argument that everybody's making. Oh, these are Arabs. One of my brother went to Libya and was beaten and sold in a slave market. These Arabs are not, I will not support them because of that. And you make this generalization. What most of you don't understand is that the Palestinians have a distinct identity. Over time, they have been Arabized. Most of them don't mind you calling them Arab. But this is a completely different conversation. It has nothing to do with the situation in northern Nigeria. It has nothing to do with the situation in the Sahel where most of this is going on. And again, like I said, on all sides, the Israelis are making the same argument and saying, oh, well, if we don't go after our interest, and the reason why the Israelis feel they can pursue their interest vociferously like this is because they have the power. And politics in itself is a zero-sum game. And the Israelis are saying, look at these Arabs and Muslims and Iranians, they are barbaric, they are stuck back in the dark ages, they have long beard, the women cover their hair, we don't like them, and these people are different from us. How can we trust them to be civilized? We are not going to allow them to get to that level of civilization. We are going to stop them and push them back to the dark ages so that no rival of ours in the region can put their foot down and fight against us. Iraq, Syria, Libya, and now Iran. Are you surprised? So this is the point. And the United States of America, and this is the most important part of today, of this conversation. The United States of America knew about this attack. The United States of America gave a green light to them, cock-a-hoop about it, take the back seat in order to avoid a bigger escalation, hoping that if Iran and Israel fight it out, America and Russia and all this can come in and say stop, and they're going to stop. The gloves are off. America is playing exactly the same role in Gaza. And I have a lot of people from the Middle East. Of course, you can't blame them. Their parents went to America and they're saying, oh, I love my country, America. The reason why Gaza is suffering today is not just because of Israel. Israel is a smaller fish. It is happening because American interest is at stake. This is why they are trampling upon every single thing they see. If you don't understand this one, you don't understand anything. Look, Israel will not sustain this conflict for 2 years without the political cover, without the support of the United States of America. All of this is happening because of the United States, and we are seeing this tension snowballing and escalating in the region to other areas. What we will see in the next few days is a metastasization of this conflict. It is going to metastasize like cancer. The Baloch area is very volatile. War between Pakistan and India will come back again. Write this down. And if the Russians continue to use the corridor of the Caspian Sea to supply Iran, the Israelis are going to engineer conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia again. Turkey might get involved in this. So this is trying times. And by the way, Kuwait, and this is why the Iranians are praying to God that America gets involved in this, because the moment America gets, people don't understand this. They say, why would Iran want America to get involved in the conflict when they can't even fight Israel? Well, it's with Israel, it can easily define as, oh, it's Israel again, and they are throwing these missiles back and forth. The moment America is dragged into the conflict, then you have the situation of a wider regional conflict. This is what Iran wants. And when the situation it escalates to a wider regional conflict, the Iranians can have some reprieve. America is involved in this, and they cannot extricate themselves from this at this point in time. And I'm disappointed with the region. Egypt. Let's talk about Egypt. I look at the Egyptian news. They don't like Israel because they know that Israel is their enemy, but they don't like Iran either. So a lot of them are, I mean, not publicly like the Syrians were celebrating when they took out Nasrallah, and the Syrians were celebrating that Assad is gone. And of course, Assad is a dictator. I understand that. And they were celebrating and praising the Israelis for bombing what they describe as their enemy in the region. And the Jolani boys that came to power defined and went on to say, by the way, for those of you that don't know, during the initial stages of the conflict, the Syrian airspace was being used. By the way, you're Egyptian, you know what I'm talking about. The Syrian airspace was used by Israel to bomb Iran. After they did that, when Iran started attacking, the Syrians closed their airspace. Syria now belongs to Israel. I said this at the beginning, Sam. A lot of you propagandists have followed me. Shame on you. Shame on you. And you are the reason why this is happening. You are the reason why there's no unity in the community. You are the reason why Israel gets the upper hand every single time, because you are defining your interest by primordial sectarian issues and tension. No single Saudi is online talking about the Palestinians. Well, they are donating money, and some of the panelists are afraid of talking about the Saudis because some of their benefactors that are giving them coins are from Saudi Arabia. Hey, anytime I get in my mode, I don't care. I'm gonna say I don't care. I'm a free man. I don't need anybody's love. I don't need anybody's support. Before I die, I will continue to stand with the Palestinians. I will tell my children to tell their children. This is more important to me than the Saudis beating up Africans in Saudi Arabia and enslaving them using the kafala system. I know that, and we will come to that when the time is right. At the end of the day, doing this against in Egypt right now, the Egyptian government, by the way, we say they are prioritizing security and so on and so forth. They act like the ostrich and bury their head in the sand, hoping to please. If you are not seeing, those of you from Egypt, take notes. If you have not learned your lesson, look at what Israel is doing to Iran and learn your lesson. Go ahead and get nuclear weapons. Egypt should go right now and get nuclear weapons. I'm still playing. Turkey, see what they are doing to Iran and use that as a lesson instead of being involved in the hatred for Shia. What you should focus on right now, those of you from Egypt and from Saudi Arabia and from Turkey, use this opportunity to gain nuclear weapons and protect yourself forever. If they use it against them, send all of them to heaven. This is not a play. These guys are going to do this to you. Israel does not care using nukes on Iran. You think they give a shit? And I'm asked to be politically correct on TikTok. Oh, you can't say that. These people are wonderful. It's not all of them. It's the government. And all this bullshit I hear every day. Egypt is so... By the way, Egypt thinks it's smart. They said, oh, well, let's see. Let's try and manage them. No, the leader does not want chaos. Of course, I understand that. He doesn't want to put his people in jeopardy. Of course, I understand that. But you are running from something that will eventually come. It will eventually come. And it will come soon. Mark my word. Because Egypt have already mobilized the Sinai. Egypt have gone against the agreement. Camp David. This is what the Israelis are saying low-key, and they are not amplifying it. I follow Israeli press. They are saying that about you, that you have broken the agreement. They will come for you when they're finished with all these ones they are doing. They are going to come for you. And you are saying, oh, we don't want to offend them. I tell you right now, if Israel was in the Egyptian position from day one, Israel would have gone into Khan Yunis or the center of Gaza, created a safe zone, and stopped the Egyptians on their track. This is what Israel would have done for the Druze community if, let's say, Gaza was Druze community, and those Druze community decided to attack Egypt, which is, let's say, Egypt is now Israel. You think the Israelis are going to allow it? And these are not Jews, by the way. The Israelis will defend those people, will play a role. Well, some people are saying, why does Egypt have to do it for Gazans? No, you're doing it for yourself. It's not too late. Go and get nuclear weapons. The message is loud and clear to Egypt. Go and get I'm still playing, right? Because most of you think, oh, Sam, this is talking again. The guy hates. No. I do understand this area very, very well. This is the right time or never. And the Iranians allowed this to happen. Wasted too much time. 15, 20 years of nuclear program. No end in sight. There's no clarity in their view. If you want 5 years, get the bomb, move on. You gave these guys a chance to have an opportunity to put political pressure on you, and they're saying that the Supreme Leader gave a fatwa. What fatwa? That you can't have nukes. And now he's pulling out of the IAEA. It's fucking too late. Fatwa. You think the Yahudi care about that, the fatwa? You say, oh, there's a fatwa in place. The Supreme Leader said we can't have nukes. Look, these guys don't understand your language. See what they did to my own ancestors, to my forefathers. They beat them up, they chain them up, they only understand the language of violence. I'll tell you right now, these guys will come to the negotiation table if Iran can continue to bomb Tel Aviv. And by the way, the problem is that the Iranians, I'm still seeing this soft side, policy of appeasement, oh, civilian targets, strategic targets in Demona. No. If you want the Israelis to listen to you, do not do that. Stop making all this noise and being politically correct with Israel. Israel is not being politically correct with the Gazans. They are saying that the children of the Palestinians will grow up to be Hamas, and therefore they need to take them out. That's what they're saying. You can hear them saying it. Politicians are saying it. People in the Knesset are saying it. And within the Iranian system, Israel attacked you. They shouldn't tell you what to do next. The gloves are off. The principle of Justin Bellow goes out of the window. The idea of Justin Bellow goes out of the window. Somebody cannot punch you in the face and tell you, oh, but somebody punched you in the hand and said, but I punched you in the hand. Why did you punch me in the face? If Iran wants to rebalance, Israel is very small. The dumb munitions you have, load them straight to civilian areas, put a lot of pressure on the civilian. Those are the people that can turn against their own government. You are wasting your ammunition on military targets that are of no consequence. The Israelis said it themselves, and they said, we have the Dahia doctrine. They went to Lebanon in 2006. Gadi Eisenhower said it. Target the civilian areas to put pressure on the political leadership. Schools, hospitals, look, honestly, psychiatric wards, raise the stake. If you want the Israelis to listen to you, raise the fucking stake. Pardon my French. These guys will not listen to you because you are too soft and naive and you think you can please them. The gloves are off. What the hell are you scared of? Let America come in. I want America to get involved so the whole region can burn up. And by the way, from what we are hearing, Iran can make this better by dragging the Americans in, provoking them, targeting their bases. They have the Hasht al-Shab in Iraq. Basra is in proximity to Kuwait. Go straight for the jugular. Go and bomb the Kuwaiti government, claiming that the Americans have military bases there. You brought in the enemy. Fair game. Fair game. The people that need to take notes. Turkey, take notes. By the way, they are bombing Turkish positions in Syria. They are not saying it. They are afraid because it's all about the stomach of these leaders. These leaders want to stay in power. So they are not taking decisive action to make sure that this can end once and for all. Use nukes against everybody so we can all go to heaven and end this injustice and madness. Excuses, excuses, platitude, political correctness from the Egyptian government. Iran is being bombed, and the leaders are talking about strategic targets. Strategic targets. No, 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 no. Go to the market in Tel Aviv, bring the silent drones, take 9,000 casualties so that the game can start. This is the only language they listen to. You think they care? Take casualties so that the game, raise the stake. Make sure you raise the stake that even if they do it to you, before they do it to any other person again, they will think twice. If Israel gets away with this, they will do it again. Raise the stake, take out 40,000, 50,000 of whoever is supporting this government so you can raise the stake. Raise the damn stake. This is the only time they can go to the negotiation table. They don't care. These guys are not afraid of anything. They believe America is going to back them. They believe, and of course, they have area superiority. Can you not see that? Forget about air defense system. If the Russians gave Iran advanced fighter jets, or they give them the J series that the Chinese have, they'll be able to knock down some of those air defense systems up. Give them a price. Make them think about doing it again. If you give them something to think about, they will not do it again. And this is what I keep telling you guys. Iran is being bombed, and Iran is talking about international law, talking about the United Nations. Israel does not care. Israel has never called on the United Nations General Assembly. For what? Because they believe they have the power, and they are going to do with the power what they see fit and how they see fit. And Iran is giving excuses. Syria opened their airspace to Israel. Israel used Syrian airspace, put their personnel on the ground, and attacked Iran. Syria is fair game. Syria did that. At the beginning of this, I complained about Jolani. A lot of you ostracized me. You said that I'm creating division between the Sunni and the Shia. You have followed me fine. You are the hypocrite. And this is why the Israelis are doing what they're doing, because of the division and because of the selfishness and because of what you are doing in your own community. Wake the fuck up. These guys are a problem. Stop supporting them with your actions. You are supporting them with your actions, with your behavior. And now they have been able to place their own candidate in power. And you have people like Sam and all these guys, Bobby, all of them, talking about Jolani and how beautiful. By the way, I follow Israeli news and I know what they're saying. They are saying that very soon they will rebuild the synagogues. It's going to be the new United Arab Emirates, normalizing ties with Israel as a precondition for lifting sanctions. And one of the reasons as well is that Israel can now use Syrian airspace to bomb Iran. And they did that. Congratulations. Again, I'm right. Most of you are emotional and you're wrong. Wake up. Wake up. Stop giving excuses. Israel is saying that the reason they are trying to stop Iran is not just because of them. It's because Egypt told them, and Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey told them that they are not comfortable, with Iran having nukes. Of course, I understand the realities in the region. I understand Iran did exactly the same thing in Iraq. As a kid, people around me, my parents, this is what most of them have done over the years, politics, and so on, university lecturers and so on. So they put it on and they show it. And I see these Tomahawk cruise missiles. You see what these guys are doing. And by the way, at that point, some of these guys in Iran, because of the bad blood between Iran and Iraq from the war, they supported it tacitly or were happy that America came to remove Saddam. And now this is what some of you are now doing in Syria. Say, oh, these Alawites, these dirty Alawites, let's remove them. You have done that and created another policy problem. My criticism goes across board. Egypt, I'm not here for mercy. I'm not here to be loved. I'm not here to please you. Some of you are weak and you are taking the wrong step. I'm not here to please any of you. You are helping the Israelis to gain an upper hand, and Israel destroy you if they are coming for us as well. And this is my own interest. It's not about you. All this nonsense some of you are saying, oh, well, he's here to support us. What does this African guy? No, 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 no. This is my own interest as well. If they're able to bridge the line of defense, they are coming for me. And they're already saying that they are going to take Somaliland and build bases there. You think they are joking? They said it themselves. Netanyahu said he was coming to liberate Africa. uh, and you are more interested in primordial sectarian fights, sectarian dogfights, than uniting and kicking the enemy in the teeth and removing them from the face of the earth. The enemy is not playing with you, but the enemy is asking you to speak nicely. The enemy is not playing with you, but the enemy is asking you to speak nicely, to be civilized. And this is what the slave masters were telling the slaves, that they are not civilized, that they need to stand upright and shower properly. They are not civilized. The slave is not civilized, but the master is civilized. Oh my God. The gloves are off. I don't want these excuses Iran is giving about, oh, strategic targets we are looking for. No, 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 don't do that. Specifically go after the civilians. Take them out and raise the stake so that next time they can think twice. I don't understand some of you running around the Zionists say, oh, but Sav is anti-Semitic. Me, I'm not anti-Semitic. You say, I say Zionists, I don't say Jays. You run, I see all of you, some of you looking for a relationship with them up and down. You want to be loved, you want attention. F those people. I say it the way I see it. I don't care. I don't care. Sometimes I might be nice and polite and listen. And some of you take it for weakness because I sit down and listen. And they are cursing and I'm listening. I want to understand my enemy. And you pumped up, you come and curse, and 10 minutes later you go on panels and call me an anti-Semite. And you are supposed to be pro-Pali or Palestinian or somebody from the region. You go on a Yahudi live stream and say, oh, that guy is too anti-Semitic for my liking. And these guys are unaliving your people. They are saying it clearly that they hate Arabs and Muslims. That's what they're telling you. And somehow you are supposed to be civilized and say the things they want you to say. Isn't that interesting? I see all of you. I see. Well, if you criticize the Nigerian African black guy, it's easy, you can get away with it. As one of your creators came and told somebody you can't be on this panel. This guy is African, you can't be on this panel. I laugh. uh, well. I mean, look, I made my point already. I don't know. People should stop seeing this from the religious prison. That's number one. Sectarianism is hurting. It's clearly hurting the unity in the region, just like Africa. It's just like Africa. And you saw the stuff that the guy told me that I'm cursed by God because I'm standing against Israel. The guy will unalive me and protect the Yahoo. That guy that wrote that message. Whatever you guys are seeing in the Middle East in terms of division, it is worse in Africa, it's worse in Nigeria. It is worse because we are so tribal and religious, and all of that. It is the same thing. And I'm calling on the global south to wake up. Young people, middle-aged people, old people, wake up. This is no longer the Cold War, the period of the 60s and 70s. Everything I'm telling you, this is my truth. And I'm basing it with the facts that I've seen and with logic. Man. Don't forget to like, to share, and leave a comment.